Welcome to the Craftsman USA Ratchet History Project. Okay, take two, I guess. Welcome to the Craftsman Ratchet History Project. This is an outline for the USA Craftsman Ratchet History Project. I'm going to use this as an outline. I've got a script. I feel like I've said this before. The purpose of the outline is to give you a general outline of what you can expect and shouldn't expect from the project. I kind of had to make some sensible choices with this without trying to sacrifice quality, but at the same time I had to be sensible for timeline sake for my own life, as well as I didn't want to make people that were expecting something of this series to wait forever, because if I tried to get to 100% complete, it could take me years rather than a matter of months. But I think in the half a year that I've been hammering away at this, we've been kicking some ass and getting pretty far. We're about 85% complete overall. The ratchets that you see in front of you are just a representation of what you can expect. Not everything is represented here. The core ratchets will be represented, the 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch, but that it isn't just limited to that or to what you see here, as I said. So again, welcome to the Craftsman Ratchet History Project. I will explore the biographies of US made Craftsman branded ratchets from the very end of their production in 2012 all the way back to the beginning. Moving from the end of the story back to the origin may seem counterintuitive, since the present is built on the shoulders of the past, but I chose to do this for two reasons. One, most of the viewers will be familiar with what's been seen within the last 50 years. And two, the further back you go in the timeline, the rarer or more expensive certain pieces become. And at my time of writing this, the collection is incomplete, as I mentioned, and honestly, moving backwards buys me more time to hunt for missing ratchets. There are certain pieces I will likely never be able to obtain due to their extremely low production numbers and the duration they're produced. I'll do my best to acquire these pieces, but given the steep hurdle, I can't make any promises. Ratchets will be shown in the timeline based when they were presented in the Sears catalog. Be aware this may not be completely in alignment with the initial date of manufacturing or the general retail store release. I wanted to do this from a universal customer perspective, assuming that everyone had equal access to the catalog rather than a corporate or store release date. And I wrote a caveat or a notification. I said there may be discrepancies. The round head fine tooth flex ratchet is a great example of that. I checked multiple times, and that particular ratchet didn't make its appearance until the later 70s, when in actuality it was manufactured in 1971 or a little bit before, and it was released to be purchased. I don't know what the heck was going on with that, but we should still be able to operate within a fairly high level of precision. If you've been alive long enough, your experiences may differ based upon your region. While all regions received the same standard catalog from Sears on an annual basis, there may be different initial offerings, distributions, or pricings in your area. I will mention anything that isn't congruent if it's been brought to my attention. The questions that I was mainly seeking knowledge on regarding Craftsman ratchets made in the USA were: the first one was, when was the ratchet first introduced and discontinued, if available or applicable? 2, what was it called by Sears, if it had a special name or a special feature that its name was based on? 3, does the tool have a nickname from the professional or DIY community? 4, how much did each ratchet size cost when it came out and when it was last released? 5, did a particular ratchet set have all sizes that are common today, the 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, or 3/4? Did it have any or all? 6, Were there variants versus the standard sizes? So that could be color, special plating, flex heads, etc. And the order of appearance for the USA Craftsman ratchets from beginning to end, and I'll annotate this into the notes so you can actually see the list. But it's going to be the premium ratchet, the final USA release, the thumb wheel ratchets, the wrench socket series. Those are a little weird, but I'm going to include them in here anyways. The next generation ratchet, aka the thin profile, it's the 60-tooth one. That was the only derivative made in the USA. The round head ratchet, non-fine tooth, also known as the tri-prop amongst some. The teardrop full polish, the 4th generation Craftsman raise panel. So that would be this guy right here. We've got stainless steel and lifetime ratchets, the wrist ratchet, then the round head fine tooth, 3rd generation oil port, non-oil port, and oil port. Then we're going basically down the line as I continue to talk. So we got 3rd generation raise panel, oil port, non-oil port, 2nd generation, the long lever, and non-quick release, and the flying V. We've got the 1/2-inch breaker bar adapter ratchet. I don't have that represented here, but we'll talk about that because it's the progenitor of this guy right here in terms of the mechanism. The 1st generation Craftsman raise panel, which are represented right here. We've got the Circle U, which is right there. The Circle K, which is only 3/4 inch, which isn't here. We've got the B and E, or BE and Circle H series, which will be in this section. The BT, which I've written a IOU for, so I don't have it. The Craftsman Vanadium series. This is a special case. I will most likely skip this due to the extreme rarity. I'm going to do my best to get them, but they're not going to be included in this mock-up right here, unfortunately. In the C number series, which we have one representative way in the back, that's the C97. So here are some things you should expect from the series. Patent information will be presented for those ratchets I could actually find it for. Prices will be mentioned based on initial release and the final release when applicable. Prices for multi-piece sets will be mentioned when applicable because there were some that you could only get them in a set and that's it. This is to give you a perspective of how time and inflation affect price. Some of the prices from certain ratchets' initial offering to their final release may startle you, and it certainly did me, especially when virtually nothing has changed about the product's features, technology, metallurgy, etc. Another thing you should expect is the ratchet timeline is affected by the changes of the times, the Great Depression, World War II, improvements in technology, corporate mergers, the tech boom of the 1990s, NAFTA, the TPP, etc. affected the evolution of prices, materials used, the multi-piece set offerings or pairings, Sears' relationship with corporate partners, the fiscal health of Sears, and the paradigm of the Craftsman brand at the time of the Ratchet family's release. If you watch the entire series, you'll notice some of these patterns. If you don't, I'll do my best to make reference to the patterns I've noticed as we move forward. Ratchet repair kits will be shown with their corresponding family of ratchets if I have them. I don't have every repair kit for every single variant of ratchet, but I do have a majority to cover the spectrum. I have a master data sheet from Sears themselves, and I'll put that in the notes as well if you're ever interested in trying to figure out what Sears, what their number system is for what ratchet that you may have, so you can at least ask them if you want it or need it. The specific ratchets, I think it goes back 50 years that I have the master data sheet for. So you should be able to get a kit if, like I said, if they have it. I'll share this information as time permits. I will mention if any variants exist within the family: special engraving, color, anodizing, chroming, industrial versions, flex versions, torques, etc. If none exist, I will only mention the standard sizes for those available. Some Ratchet families did not have every size, especially in the early days. The timeline will include Ratchets that have a complete family: 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/8, 1/4 inch drives when applicable, and demonstrate pieces of the evolutionary chain from the history. Yes, I'll exclude a handful of known USA Craftsman Ratchets, but they'll receive their own video in due time. From the perspective of the viewer, it may be strange to see particular Ratchets within the timeline, but I did this because certain Ratchets will demonstrate technology or practice that ultimately becomes important within a common Ratchet made later. Think of it as being the grandfather of a particular Ratchet family. Another point is materials composition is going to be discussed. This will include discussion about the base alloy used to make the tool, as well as the plating to protect it. The information was really difficult for me to obtain, and in some areas it was really easy. It just depended. I didn't want to offer this information unless I could find it for every single one, and I was really lucky. And sometimes it was, like I said, it was really easy to figure this out. I ended up having to call some of the manufacturers directly and ask them what the hell was going on with that. In some instances, I was able to deduce it through the metallurgy practices for a particular forge that created Craftsman tools at the time, and in some instances I actually had to use some science to figure it out. All of the forges responsible for each family of Ratchets has been discerned. It wasn't discerned by me, but I was able to data mine this. I can guarantee that some will surprise you, whereas others will blow away certain fanboys of a particular tool brand, especially if you have a predisposition against Craftsman tools. Another point is, if Sears used a unique sales pitch, slogan, or description for X or Y Ratchet, I will mention it. And this all sounds like a lot of data that I'm throwing out at you, but once we get rolling, I've formatted everything in such a way that it's going to be quick and easy. When available, I'll show you a printout of the initial release from the catalog for a particular Ratchet family from Sears. And I personally found this really interesting. It's kind of like stepping into a time machine. My resources will be provided. This project took me about 6 months of dedication to acquiring the Ratchets and the information. An appreciable amount of time was put into this, yet I am in a way standing on the shoulders of giants. A very few number of the Ratchets have been donated, where a vast majority of them were completely paid for by my family and I for purposes of the project. In contrast, a majority of people whom were my resources, whether active or passive, did so for free, and there was an instance where I had to pay for some information, but it was pretty cheap. Those who are asked to be paid offer very high quality information and other specialized resources that otherwise wouldn't have been available. And I can understand that, because I mean, some people have been working on this for decades, and without them we wouldn't have been able to finish the project. While I'm not certainly the first person to seek out every USA Craftsman Ratchet ever made, to my knowledge, I'm the first person that's offering a comprehensive timeline that's dedicated to offer a visual and audio-video style documentary that's completely free. Excellent. The USA Craftsman Ratchet History Project will focus exclusively on hand tools that are not air or electrically driven. Also, the project will exclude any USA-made Craftsman ratcheting mechanism that only uses accessory screw-driving bits. And there are a few. I'm focusing on the human-powered tools that use ratcheting driver that mated with a socket. Simply put, if it's a traditional style ratchet of any derivative, had the Craftsman brand on it and was made in the USA, uses sockets of any derivative, it will be included in the project. And it fits all the aforementioned criteria. Things you should not expect from the series. There will be no demonstrative teardowns or repairs in the Craftsman Ratchet History Project directly. I will do individual HD teardowns and repair videos in a separate series. And I'll have those separated by different playlists, so it should be fairly easy. And I have gutted every single one of these. It's been pretty nuts. I've put in a huge amount of my own time to make this happen. At some pretty oddball hours of the day and night. So I know these things pretty intimately. I doubt anybody's going to ask me this, but I figured I'd throw it in there anyway. So none of these things are for sale, so don't ask. Torque wrenches and certain one-off ratchets won't be included. And I wrote in quotations the Craftsman Ready Ratchet. I've got the patent information, although I didn't find it on my own, and nor was I made aware of it on my own. I'll mention that particular source later. This one source that I have is amazing. He put years and years and years into this himself, and I really respect him for it. But yeah, the Craftsman Ready Ratchet is a ratchet that stored sockets within the shaft of the handle. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to acquire those. I'm still trying to focus on the families of ratchets that'll encompass the traditional hand tools that are part of a set. Again, like I said before, what you could expect is if I get these, I will film them separately. I pose a question. Will you be reviewing other Craftsman tools or other tool brands in the series? And the answer is not specifically. They will be included only if they pertain to the history, and I might do like a Ratchet DNA video down the line where I compare the OEM brand with the Craftsman Ratchet. I might hybridize it into the series anyways, just because it might be more convenient. I wrote this probably 2 months ago, so I was a little unsure what I wanted to do. Don't expect fanboydom from me for a particular tool brand. I own tools from pretty much every brand that exists today, or some representations of what was lost through mergers or the plants closing down. I see the positives and negatives of all these brands, regardless of the star power that's been imbued within them. And I came into the Craftsman Ratchet History Project with a strong sense of objectivity. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I'm human just like everybody else, and I do have my own personal biases, but I'm certainly going to applaud the brand in the successes that they had, and certainly criticize them in their failures or shortcomings. And if I thought that a particular ratchet was more gimmicky or operated ineffectively, yeah, I'm going to let you know about it. I don't have any qualms with that, as well as maintenance or survivability. When it comes to the comments section, don't expect tolerance of fanboydom. You have the right to your opinion, but if you're going to go out of your way to belittle the series simply because it isn't worshipping one of the big tool brands, your comments will be deleted and you will be blocked. And that'll be the end of that. You have, I respect the freedom of speech, but if you're going to be a jerk, I'm not gonna deal with that. I look at your comments as your place at my table. If you can't respect the chair, you don't have a place at the table. But if you have a legitimate argument and you can back it with facts, I welcome that and I look forward to it. This is America after all. Hope for how long, I don't know. The collection will not be completed at the time of the first video's release. Given the obscurity of information, rarity, and cost, despite my continuous efforts, I'm missing certain ratchets that anyone else that collects these is likely to be missing. Very few have every one of them or very close. Because of this, the videos initially may be out of sequence. They'll be put into order in the playlist once the missing ratchets and their videos have been made. I can't emphasize this enough. It's not like I'm being aloof or I forgot. It's that I'm doing the best that I can here, and you know, the reality is that people with certain ratchets, they don't want to give them up, and I certainly understand that. It probably took them a long time to find them, or it could have been an heirloom or something like that. So again, I'm not the first person to want to do this, nor will I be the last, and I'm kind of doing this late in the late in the game as far as that's concerned. So we'll see what happens. If a ratchet wasn't made in the USA, don't expect it to see an appearance by it. I might do a teardown on select Craftsman ratchets that weren't made here, strictly because, one, I was curious, and two, there's some misconceptions about certain ones being made here when they actually aren't. So the people that, or I shouldn't say the people, but the ratchets that aren't going to make an appearance are going to be the Max Axis, the Extreme Grip, the Evolve ratchet line, the Quick Clean, which is this guy. This is made in Taiwan, and I've run into some folks that think this one's USA. The Tri-Wing, this one's commonly called the Tri-Wing. Nope, not going to make an appearance. I'll do a teardown on it, but we're not going to talk about it any further than right here. The new 75 tooth Craftsman ratchet, this abomination right here. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. I'm going to make references to it, but that's as far as we're going. The Canadian Craftsman ratchets, those are all Taiwanese made. I don't have a representation here, but we're not going to talk about them. And the Chinese or Taiwanese versions of USA made ratchets. So as far as that's concerned, there's Chinese versions of this guy, certainly this guy right here. So we've got the standard teardrop 4th generation, the full polish, the next gen, or the thin profile, and certain torque wrenches. But that's basically it as far as what you can expect to see. Some of the weirdies that are going to be omitted would be like this guy. This is a ratchet that was made in the 1950s. They're about, I think this one was made by New Britain, but it's pretty rare. These are the Craftsman Vanadium ratchets. These are from the really early 30s. I've only encountered maybe 1 or 2 people so far, if memory serves me correctly, that actually had one. So no go on those. I'll try my best to get them so that we can tear them down and talk about them, but this is another one. I think that this is an SK, originally made by SK, but I still need to do a little bit more research on that. I've got the patent for it anyway. We've got, this is the patent for a snap-on ratchet that for I think 1 year was made as a Craftsman ratchet, but these are pretty rare too, even as a snap-on variant. I think it was made only 1 year or so in either the Craftsman or snap-on branding. And this is the patent for the Ready ratchet. So I'll make reference to those later, but those are going to be omitted for now. So that's it. So if you watch this video before you watch anything else, for the love of God, please don't hit the comments section with, "Whoa, why isn't this being done? Why isn't this being done?" I've been amazed by how many personal messages I've received since I even started doing these videos about just some of the dumbest questions. If you'd actually watch the video or read the comments, you'll know what's going on. More so the video than anything else, but I'd say a majority of the comments I've received, whether they're up on the comments section of the video or private, they've been awesome, and I really am excited to discuss any comments or concerns or questions that people have had. I've learned a lot from the folks that have made comments to me, and I think they're great. So please keep doing that. But yeah, I mean, if you're confused as to why certain things are happening, reference this video or please watch it, and that should answer any of the miscellaneous things that you're wondering. All right, that'll do.